So we'll be looking at the goals, obstacles. So what are the fundamental goals of every human being, and the importance of sadhana. And then we will be looking at the four remaining dhyana shlokas, and we will be having group practice at the end. So these are the fundamental goals of every human being. So like each human being has got their personal goals, like I want to have this degree in my life, I want to achieve this, I want to achieve that. So that differs from individual to individual, but for all human beings, what are the fundamental goals? And these can be classified as security, that can be the desire to security, food and shelter, peaceful life, desire to live peacefully and comfortably, and desire for happiness, fulfillment, and enjoyment. So every human being seek for these three goals in their life. Yes, and they are must. Uh, Subhadraman, can you please mute your call? Yeah, and now can you see the slides? Just can you please mention?
Yeah, I can see. I can now.
Yeah. All right. But according to the scriptures, they say that these goals we seek into the external world, right? So in order to feel secured, we find or we try to seek certain external resources. In order to find the peace, I may go to a yoga retreat, but yeah, means you can get peace there, but again, it's a very temporary peace. Then happiness, if I have this person in my life, I will become happy, or my happiness depends on the objects, which are in not in, but they are in the external world. So if we try to seek these fundamental goals into the external world, we will never feel secure internally or peaceful or happy, which is permanent. So what scriptures are saying, that all these three things exist within you. But then what happens? Why can't we always feel mentally secured from internally, or peaceful or happy? Why we lack, or we lack to see these things within? Because of the layers of obstacles. And what are these three obstacles? And these are malam, vikshepam, and ajnanam. So malam is the impurity. We also call them as shadripus: kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, and matsarya. Kama means many actions we do, or krodha means anger, lobha is greed, moha is again desire or attachment to various objects and people in our life, mada is the proud, and matsarya is hatred. So all these are the impurities, these acts as obstacles in order to achieve these three goals. What is vikshep? Vikshepam means mental restlessness or turbulence, wandering extrovertedness. So our mind, if something goes wrong, or if something happens bad, so it's the tendency or the nature of our mind which gets disturbed easily, or it, lot of turbulence occurs within the mind. And avaranam or ajnanam means the ignorance, lack of awareness that you are the controller of these three fundamental goals, that is security, peace, and happiness. And hence, one should remove these three obstacles by the practice of sadhana. And here comes the importance of sadhana. That is the solution what our scriptures have given us. So sadhana is what? Is the spiritual discipline or yoga. Yoga means that which unites the seeker with the destination. And here that destination or the goal is security, peace, and happiness. The scriptures prescribe three different yogas to remove these obstacles. And which are these three types of yoga? Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Jnana Yoga. These yogas are not optional, as every human being has to face all these obstacles and needs nivrutti, freedom from these obstacles. Correct? So now, where is the place of Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Jnana Yoga in these scriptures? As in the last session, we have seen what are Vedas and how, all the other scriptures have developed from the original source. So Vedas have got four parts: Samhitas, Brahmanas, Aranyakas, and Upanishads. The part of Samhita deals with the chanting of mantras, so that can be regarded, or the mantra yoga or nada yoga comes under Samhita. We have seen that what are Brahmanas? These are the actual duties or actions performed for performing the spiritual rites and rituals. So the Karma Yoga comes under the Brahmanas part of Vedas. Then comes the Upasana Kand. Again, we have seen there is Karma Kand, Jnana Kand, and in between there is Upasana Kand as well, and that relates to Aranyakas. As again, we have seen the internal performance of these yajnas or the spiritual rites is concerned about Aranyakas, and Bhakti Yoga, the path of devotion, come under Aranyakas. And then Jnana Kanda relates to Upanishads, so like reading different scriptures and knowing and understanding the truth, what is written into the scripture. So Jnana Yoga comes under the Upanishad part of Vedas. So this is how the three types of yogas that we are going to look at while chanting Bhagavad Gita shlokas are classified under Brahmanas, Aranyakas, and Upanishads. The Lord graciously blessed us with a condensed version, Veda Sar, in form of Bhagavad Gita. If we understand the Sukshma, the tiniest part of Gita, it means we have understood the Vedas. So we try to, again, do all these three types of yogas. See, this is not, the sadhana is not like I am leading my life, and when I get free time, I, practice yoga, or I practice karma yoga or bhakti yoga, whatever. No, it's not like that. The three forms of yoga should become the way of your life. And then you can really say that, I am doing sadhana, and then you will gradually progress on the path of spirituality. So this is how the three types of yogas are classified. And now we will be looking at the four remaining dhyana shlokas. So I just wanted to introduce these three types of yogas before we, actually start Bhagavad Gita chanting. All right. So what is the sixth dhyana shloka? I'm going to chant the shloka first. भीष्मद्रोणतटा जयद्रथजला गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरणनदी Kaivartakah Keshavah. Now these four lines, but it has got like immense meaning. All these shlokas, they have got tremendous meaning underneath it, and we try to understand the meaning of these four shlokas today. So again here, they have given the analogy. All right, in order to understand what is Mahabharata and what the Bhagavad Gita is talking about. So Bhishma Drona Tata. If Mahabharata is described as turbulent river or sea, Bhishma and Drona are described as the two ends or banks of the river. Okay, so Mahabharata is the river and Bhishma and Drona, these are the two banks of the river. Jayadratha Jala, so the water of the river whose depth cannot be fathomed is Jayadrath. Gandhar Nilotpala, the king and prince of Gandhara Desh, that is Shakuni, he is described as blue lily or blue rock. Just as the blue lily is attractive, but when you go near, you get trapped into the slush or mud. Similarly, Shakuni is the most deceptive warrior. Then Shalya Grahavati. Shalya, king of Madradesh. He is described as one like shark. Okay, so that river has got many things in it. So Shalya is like shark. And then Krupena Vahani. So Krupacharya here, he was a great archer. He was the guru for all Pandavas and Kauravas. He is described as powerful as the undercurrent force of the river. So Vahani is the undercurrent force of the river. And Karnena Velakula. So who is Karna? Karna was like the turbulent waves in the water. So Krupacharya is the undercurrent force and Karna are the strong waves of the river. So Vela means waves and Akula means turbulent waves. Then Ashwathama Vikarna Ghora Makara. Ashwathama, who was the son of Dronacharya, and Vikarna, son of Dhritarashtra. They are the terrible crocodiles. Duryodhana Avartini. Avartini means the whirlpool. So Duryodhan is like the whirlpool who pulls everything into it. Mahabharata is thus a Rana Nadi, means the river. Pandavas were able to cross such a river because of their skillful driver. And who was the driver? None other than Lord Krishna, Keshava, Bhagwan himself. And he is the Kaivartaka, means the boatman. The one who can steer the boat even during the turbulent times. In this verse, the Mahabharata war is compared to a turbulent river with so many varieties of dangers, having there, lurking there. The Pandavas had to cross the river to save themselves, which was the greatest challenge in their lives. The person who is caught in helpless situation is called as Artha Purusha. Lord Krishna became their savior or the Kaivartaka. So if you come across such situation, be assured that you have the skillful driver. If you surrender onto him, you can be assured that you can cross any turbulence in your life. So this is what the sixth shloka is talking about, and they have given analogy of different characters of Mahabharata into this shloka. Very beautiful shloka. And then come the seventh dhyana shlok, and that we are going to see now. Parasharya vacha saroja mamalam Geetartha gandhotkatam Nanakhyanak kesaram harikatha Sambodhana bodhitam Loke sajjana षट्पदैरहरः पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयाद् भारत पंकजं कलिमल pradhvansinah shreyase. Again, one of the most beautiful shlokas. So now we are going to see first the last line. Bharata Pankajam. So again, Mahabharata is what? It is Itihas. A scriptural literature consists of facts and fictions. Itihasa means thus it happened. Since it deals with the Bharata dynasty, it is named Bharatam. And it is called Mahabharatam because it is a voluminous literature with 1 lakh verses in it. And at the end, you can see Naha Shreyase. For us who are students, Shreyase means happiness, prosperity, well-being. Shreyase Bhuyat. Let it be a source of happiness to me. May it transform my personality if I'm going to study this scripture. Then the next line, Mahabharata is compared to lotus. Okay, so now we are seeing the first line here. All right, so Mahabharata is the lotus. Lotus is an attractive flower, attractive to eyes. It looks beautiful, delightful. It smells good. It has got honey in it, so it tastes sweet and nice. Let the Mahabharata lotus be a source of happiness to me. And now we are coming to the first line, that is Parasharya Vacha Saroja Amalam. If Mahabharata is the lotus, the pond is compared to Parasharya's Vachaha, means Parashara's son Vedavyas, Maharshi Vedavyas. So his mouth is compared to the pond. Amalam means a flower without any impurity. Lotus is also called as Pankajam. Panka means the slush or the mud. Lotus is born from the muddied water. Lotus is still pure even though it is born from muddied water. Similarly, Mahabharata is pure and the teachings are perfect. The language is also pure and void of grammatical defects. Gitartha Gandhotkatam. This Mahabharata lotus is extremely attractive. The teachings are utkatam, means popular, famous, attractive, which draws the attention of people because of the gandha, the powerful fragrance. The Mahabharata lotus has a powerful fragrance that attracts everyone. So the teachings of the Gita is the fragrance of Mahabharata. So Mahabharata is popular because of Gita. Now, if you can see in this picture, as we have seen the meaning of these shlokas, this pond is compared to the mouth of Maharshi Vedavyas. Parasharya Vachaha. So the pond is like Maharshi Vedavyas. In that, a beautiful lotus has bloomed, and that is compared to Mahabharata. Now its fragrance, it gives beautiful, powerful fragrance, and that is compared to Bhagavad Gita, right? Now we will see next. Nana Khyanaka Kesaram. Any flower will have several filaments. If Mahabharata is the flower, what are the filaments here? Nana Akhyanakam. Akhyanakam means stories. So it has got many stories in Mahabharata. Though Mahabharata is one book, there are so many thousands of stories which are themselves very popular. These stories are the filaments and adds to the glory of Bharata. Harikatha Sambodhana Bodhitam. The lotus is of two types, the bud and the bloomed form. Though both are beautiful, the blossomed one is more attractive. The Mahabharata lotus is a bloomed lotus. This lotus is bloomed through Sambodhana, means the narration of Harikatha. Abodhitam means expanded. So through these stories of Lord Krishna, Mahabharata is expanded into 1 lakh verses. So if you can see the middle the center filaments, they are compared to the thousands of stories in Mahabharata, and these are expanded. So these, the petals, you can see the completely bloomed lotus is the expanded version, and they are nothing but the Harikatha. Sajjana Shatpadaihi. Wherever flower is there, there is honey. And attracted by this honey are the honeybees who cluster around these flowers. Similarly, Mahabharata contains deep wisdom on all subjects. Maharshi Vedavyas has discussed about every topic, whether it is religion, philosophy, psychology, politics, sociology, human relationship, or any science which you can think of. So such a great scripture it is. So all the students like us, they are the honeybees which are going around this flower. Therefore, Sajjana Shatpadaihi. Sajjana means noble people. Shatpadam means bees with 6 legs. The noble ones, those who have an open mind towards the scriptures, will flock around Mahabharatam like honeybees to suck the nectar. Haraha pepimanam muda. Now these noble people drink the honey of wisdom by inquiring into or by the analysis of Mahabharata and Gita in particular, and suck the honey of wisdom. Pepiyamanam means sucking, the sucking part. Haraha, day in and day out, not in only free time, but constantly. Muda means enjoy. They would repeatedly read, understand, and enjoy different perspectives and analyze various characters in Mahabharatam. Kalimala Pradvausi means what? This Mahabharat is a literature which can destroy the sorrows due to the materialistic worldly problems. Kali Yuga is known for such materialistic lifestyle and is synonymous to competition and quarrel. When there is materialism and wickedness rampant around us, our mind gets influenced and agitated. If we should not be affected by that, Mahabharata should be used as a medicine for the Kalimala, means to remove these impurities of Kali Yuga. Pradvamsi means to destroy, remover of impurity. Mahabharatam is explained as Kalimala Pradvamsi, remover of impurities due to the Kali age. May the Mahabharatam strengthen my family, me, my family, and my society. Okay, so this is the meaning of the Shloka 7. And again, beautiful comparison is given. And now we are coming at the Dhyana Shloka 8. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat krupatamaham vande Paramananda Madhavam. Vande Paramananda Madhavam. I salute Madhava is one of the primary names of Krishna, the all attractive. The word Madhava in Sanskrit is a derivation of the word Madhu, which means honey, and Paramananda, source of highest happiness. Mukam Vachalam Karoti. He makes the dumb an eloquent speaker if he surrenders to the God. Pangum Girim Langayate. He makes the lame person climb a mountain. Yat Kripa. The grace of Madhava makes all this possible. Tam Aham Vande. I salute that Madhava. It means, in a nutshell, when God's grace is there, there is nothing impossible. Correct? So this is the meaning of this shloka. And now we are coming to the last one. And this goes like this. Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Maruta Stunvanti Divyaistavai Vedai Sangapada Kramo Upanishadai Gayanti Yam Samagaha ध्यानावस्थितदगतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुः सुरासुरगणा देवाय तस्मै नमः. So what is the meaning of this shloka? Yam stunvanti, that God who is worshipped by so many other gods such as Brahma, Varuna, Rudra, Maruta. Yam Brahma, Varunendra, Rudra, Maruta. So not only people like us, but even the other gods like Brahma, Varuna, Rudra, and Maruta, Stunvanti, they all glorify the Lord. Divyaistavai, through divine hymns. If all the gods could glorify you, how great should you be? Samaga, Gayanti, it is not only the heavenly gods, even the mortals on the earth glorify the Lord. Samaga, a Ved, that is Samaved, a Ved which is in the musical form. Though Sama is mentioned here, it should be understood that it is not only Sama Veda, but all the four Vedas, Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Atharva Veda, and Sama Veda. All the Vedas are glorifying the Lord. Vedaihi Sangapada Kramo Upanishadaihi. Vedas, Sa-anga, together with the other Vedangas. In the first session, we have seen what are the other Vedangas of Vedas or the secondary scriptures or the Smriti Granthas. There are totally 6 Vedangas. Pada and Krama represent the different types of chanting the Vedas which come under the Samhita part. So there is Pada, each word is chanted separately. Then the Kramapad or 2 words are chanted together. Jatapad, where chanting is done combining words in the order. So actually these Samhitas have got this Pada, Krama, Jata and Ghana types where they combine these words together in different forms. So Jata combines the words in the order 12, 21, 12. And Ghanapati, you must have heard that, where the words are combined in the order 12, 21, 123, 321, 123. So that is the order. All these forms of chanting are used to glorify the Lord. Yoginaha yam pashyanti. The great jnanis see the Lord in their inner mind. Manasa tat gatena. With their mind concentrated onto the Lord. Ekagra manasa. Dhyana avasthita. In the state of deep meditation. Yasya antam na vidu sura suragana. Even though Lord is described as a person, in reality, God does not have a human form. This is because human forms have limitations. The Lord does not have any limitations. Where do you find that God? If God is limitless, you cannot say that God is in Vaikuntha or Kailasam. He is everywhere. So no one can fathom the limitless God. Okay. And the last thing, to that all-pervading, limitless Lord, I offer my namaskar. Okay. So the last word of this thing, Sura Suragana Devaya Tasmai Namaha. So this was the meaning of, yeah, the last shloka. So now we have covered all the 9 dhyana shlokas with their meanings. I hope you have enjoyed these 4 dhyana shlokas with their meaning. A very big underlying meaning it has got. So please try to, remember the meaning while chanting these shlokas, and then you will really enjoy it more. All right. So now shall we start with our group practice? So now we'll take one by one. So we'll look into Dhyana Shloka 6. So are you going to repeat after me? So if you want to repeat after me, now you can unmute your call. So let's begin with our 6th Dhyana Shloka. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Bhishma Drona Tata Jayadratha Jala Gandhara Nilotpala Shalyagrahavati Krupena Vahani Karnena Velakula Ashwathama Vikarna Ghora Makara Duryodhanavartini Sotirna Khalu Pandavairana Nadi Kaivartakah Keshavah. Yes, I know it's a little difficult, but if you try to read the meaning 3-4 times, and then it will become easy for you to even chant. If you want, we can again repeat this shloka. Okay, so again. Bhishma Drona Tata Jayadratha Jala Gandhara Nilotpala Shalyagrahavati Krupena Vahani Karnena Velakula Ashwathama Vikarna Ghora Makara Duryodhanavartini Sotirna Khalu Pandavairana Nadi Kaivartakah Keshavah. Very good. So just try to remember what comparison and analogy they have given, so you will be able to chant it easily. Yeah. So the next one.
Sorry, Ketki, I just wanted to ask something. Can we go back to that shlok, please?
Yeah.
That Gandharani, you saying Gandharani Nilotpala? Pala.
Yeah, yeah.
Pala.
That's how.
Nilopala.
It's not Nilopala. Is it
Nilopala, no,
Nilotpala?
it's Nilotpala.
It is Nilotpala.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Now we'll chant Dhyana Shloka 7. Parasharya vachah sarojamamalam.
पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलम्
Malam.
गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटम्
गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटम्
नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा
नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथां हरिकथा
सम्बोधनाबोधितम्
सम्बोधनाबोधितम्
लोके सज्जनषट्पदैरहरः
लोके सज्जनषट्पदैरहरः
पेपीयमानं मुदा
पेपीयमानं मुदा
भूयाद्भारतपङ्कजं कलिमल
भूयाद्भारतपङ्कजं कलिमल
प्रध्वंसि नः श्रेयसे
प्रध्वंसि नः श्रेयसे.
Very good. So we'll repeat one more time.
Yeah.
पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलम् गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटम् नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितम् लोके सज्जनषट्पदैरहरः
लोके सज्जनषट्पदैरहरः
पेपीयमानं मुदा
पेपीयमानं मुदा
भूयाद्भारतपङ्कजं कलिमल
भूयाद्भारतपङ्कजं कलिमल
प्रध्वंसि नः श्रेयसे
प्रध्वंसि नः श्रेयसे.
Very good. Okay. Now Dhyana Shloka 8. मूकं करोति वाचालं
मूकं करोति वाचालं
पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं
पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं
यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे
यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे
परमानन्दमाधवम्
परमानन्दमाधवम्.
We'll repeat one more time. मूकं करोति वाचालं
मूकं करोति वाचालं
पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं
पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं
यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे
यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे
परमानन्दमाधवम्
परमानन्दमाधवम्.
Very good. And the last one. यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः
यं
ब्रह्मा
ब्रह्मा
वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः
वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः
स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः
स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः
वेदैः साङ्गपदः क्रमो उपनिषदैः
वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः
We'll repeat that again. वेदैः साङ्गपदः क्रमो उपनिषदैः
वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः
गायन्ति यं सामगाः
गायन्ति यं सामगाः
ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा
ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा
Again. ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा
ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा
पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो
पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो
यस्यान्तं न विदुः सुरासुरगणा
यस्यान्तः न विदुरासुरगणा
Again. यस्यान्तं न विदुः सुरासुरगणा
यस्यान्तं न विदुरासुरगणा
देवाय तस्मै नमः
देवाय तस्मै नमः
Okay, so we'll again repeat the whole shloka. Yam Brahma Varunendra-Rudra-Marutah
यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः
स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः
स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः
वेदैः साङ्गपदः क्रमो उपनिषदैः
वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः
गायन्ति यं सामगाः
गायन्ति यं सामगाः
ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा
ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा
पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो
पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो
यस्यान्तं न विदुः सुरासुरगणा
यस्यान्तं न विदुरासुरगणा
देवाय तस्मै नमः
देवाय तस्मै नमः
Very good. Okay. So now if you individually just want to go through any of these, maybe you want to start with the simple one, please go ahead.
किधर गए?
Anyone want to try?
Kitki, shall I do
Yeah.
sixth one?
Sixth one. Okay.
भीष्मद्रोणतटा जयद्रथजला गान्धारनीलोपला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैः रणनदी कैवर्तकः केशवः.
Very, yeah. As I have just mentioned that even there is the half ta is not there in Gandhara Nilotpala. So we are going to pronounce it as Gandhara Nilotpala.
Gandhara Nilotpala.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to try Shloka 6? Are you scared to try this?
Ketki, I will sing.
Okay.
Last one.
Last one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Shall I start?
Yeah.
यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुवन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपक्रमोपनिषदा गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानवस्थिततत्त्वतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो पश्चात्तं न विदुः सुरासुरगणा देवाय तस्मै नमः.
Very good. Very good. Only in the first line, it's stunvanti. Stuvanti. It's stunvanti. Yeah.
Yeah. Stunvanti.
Stunvanti. And Vedai Sangapada Kramo Upanishadaihi, you take their break. Gayantiyam Samagaha.
Kramopanishadaha, then Gayanti, no?
Upanishadaihi. Vedai Sangapada Kramo Upanishadaihi Gayantiyam Samagaha. And Dhyanavasthitadgatena Manasa. So try to just make it clear when you chant that. Okay. And dhyana vasthit tadagatena manasa. So you combined all these words together and then pashyantiyam yoginah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sorry, Ketki. So that's not dhyana vasthit tadgatena.
Yeah, tadagatena.
So tadagatena rather than tadgatena.
It's up to you. Dhyanavasthit tadgatena manasa. This is also fine.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Is the Sanskrit Sandhi food? So that's
Yes.
where you pause, either it becomes the or it becomes the. So dhyanavasthit tadgatena manasa.
Yeah.
Or dhyanavasthit tadgatena manasa.
मी 8वा म्हणते केतकी.
Okay. Mukam karoti vachalam. Yes.
मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्.
Very good. Do you want to try any other shloka?
Can I try, Ketki?
Yes.
Yam
Which shloka? Last one?
Yam Brahma, yeah.
Okay.
Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutastunvanti Divyaistavai Vedai Sangapadakramopanisadai Gayantiyam Samagaha Dhyanavastita Manasa Pashyantiyam Yogino Yasyantam na vidussurasuragana Devaya tasmai namaha.
Very nice. Very melodious. Thank you. Okay. Okay. So what about Parasharyavacha? Anyone else want to try this? This we didn't cover, so if you want to try individually.
Shall I try, Ketki?
Yes.
पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममला
Hello. I think she's paused. Hello. All right. So till that time, anyone else want to try this? Or any other shloka you want to try? Any new member?
Hello.
Hello.
I would like to try.
This shloka, 7th?
Yeah.
Okay.
पाराशर्यवच सरोजममलं गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटं नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधनं बोधितं लोके सज्जनषट्पदैर्हरः पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयाद्भारतपङ्कजं कलिमल प्रध्वंसिन श्रेयसे.
Very good, Kavita. Very melodious.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mugdha, you want to try?
But I can't move this screen, no, so I can't see the shloka.
Okay. The shloka is already on the screen. You can't see it?
Only last one is there and it's not moving. So I can't see any other screen.
Can you see now?
No,
The
it's
shloka
not
is
moving
there on
at all.
the screen.
केतकी मी 9वा म्हणते चालेल
हो. Wait. Yeah. Alright. Yeah.
म्हणू
हो.
यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्र रुद्रमरुत तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैर्वेदे साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैर्गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणा देवाय तस्मै नमः.
Very good. Just want to emphasize on Divyai, Stavai and Vedai. So can you repeat these first two lines?
म्हणते हा.
Yeah.
यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्र रुद्रमरुतः तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैर्वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैर्गायन्ति यं सामगाः
Yeah.
ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणा देवाय तस्मै नमः.
Yes, thank you. That's correct. Okay, anyone else want to try?
Can I
Shall
try?
I try now?
Yeah,
Seventh one.
actually, you got disconnected in between.
Yeah. In between, I got disconnected.
Yeah, so you want to try the 9th one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Seventh one.
7th one. One
Yeah.
minute.
आराश्चर्यवचः सरोजममलं गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटं नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितं लोके सज्जनषट्पदैरहरः पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयाद्भारतपङ्कजं कलिमल प्रध्वंसिनः श्रेयसे.
Very good. Yes, thank you.
Ketki, can I say the 7th one?
7th one, okay.
पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलं गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटं नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितं लोके सज्जनषट्पदैरहरः पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयात् भारतपङ्कजं कलिमलं प्रध्वंसिनः श्रेयसे.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to try this one? Shloka 6. Kavita, you want to try?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I will say. भीष्मद्रोणतटा जयद्रथजला गान्धारनीलोपला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैः रणनति कैवर्तकः केशव.
Very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right. So these are the last 4 shlokas. So you keep practicing. And what I wanted to announce is now next Saturday we will have our session. I have told before that maybe after the lockdown gets over, we will do the sessions once in a month, but I'm thinking of doing once in a month from June itself. So whether the lockdown continues, we will have our session on 2nd Saturday or Sunday. So if the lockdown is still going on, we can keep Saturday if you all are comfortable with it. So every 2nd Saturday of the month, we will meet at the same time, 11 o'clock UK time and 3:30 India. And people joining from anywhere else, please see the same timing is there. So we will have next Saturday our session. So we will start with Karma Yoga Shloka Sangraha. So we are beginning with Karma Yoga, and we'll try to cover 6 shlokas from Karma Yoga Shloka Sangraha. And from June onwards, we will meet every 2nd Saturday. So if that's fine with you, we will continue like this then thereafter. So please let me know. Even on the group, you can say if you want Saturday or Sunday. So maybe once the lockdown gets over, we can switch to Sunday, because many of you have said that once lockdown gets over, we want Sunday. But I think we don't know yet what's going on in India. I think at the end of the month they will announce. And in UK also, it's still going on. It's not completely over. So we might meet on Saturday, but not every Saturday. It's on second Saturday of each month. Okay. And I will be putting that on the group also. Is that okay with you all?
Yeah.
Saturdays?
Yes, yes.
Second Saturday of?
Yes. Okay, okay.
Yeah. And maybe then,
Ketki,
yeah.
yeah, so are you going to tell us the date? Like, when are we meeting next?
Yes, yes. Next Saturday we are meeting.
Okay,
That is, I think, 30th of May.
okay.
Huh? So next Saturday we are having the session, but from June onwards, each month we will meet on second Saturday of each month.
Okay.
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 Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. So you will have enough of things to practice and explore. Even you can share if you are reading anything related to this. Yeah, if you have any questions.
How many shlokas are there in each yoga? That is
Yeah,
Karma Yoga.
so there are 18 verses in each Sangraha.
Okay. Okay.
So we'll be looking at 18 shlokas from Bhagavad Gita, but they are like selected, and they have put under the heading of Karma Yoga. So as we are learning 18 verses related to Karma Yoga, we will understand what Karma Yoga is all about. Once we finish Karma Yoga, we will start with Bhakti Yoga, then Jnana Yoga, and then there is Raja Yoga as well, where the actual methods, like Raja Yoga is Ashtanga Yoga. So the practices and methods are explained under the Raja Yoga Shloka Sangraha. So we'll be looking at the 4 parts.
Okay.
And in each session, we will cover 6 verses.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Its meaning and little background of each yoga. So we have seen today Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Jnana Yoga, where it is there in our Vedas. But then we will try to get a little background about each yoga.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you all for joining, and I hope you have enjoyed today's 4 shlokas. So now you have got 9 dhyana shlokas to practice. Please read their meanings, because it's really beautiful, and if you can remember the meaning, you will easily remember the shlokas and you will enjoy chanting them
Yes.
with the meaning.
Yes.
Right?
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
and have a
Let
good
us see you on
Thank
Saturday.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Ketki.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ketki.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.